the pace when I'm running.
What's up, everybody, and welcome here to a Spotlight special wake-up call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We got the Witty Wicks candles shining bright. We got all the Cuse 315 here behind me. We got Syracuse on. Jerome is wearing his pinstripe hoodie, and Jerome is here with me on the day of. The wait is almost over, folks. This is the morning of the Pinstripe Bowl. So excited. Pinstripe Bowl going to be going on today at 2 p.m. Eastern time between Syracuse and Minnesota in Yankee Stadium in New York City. And I am here with someone who knows all about the Pinstripe Bowl, played in the Pinstripe Bowl, and is a good friend of mine as he joins me here today to celebrate hour one of Wake Up Call and Pinstripe Preview Week. Jerome Smith, running back, Syracuse history. Sir, how are you?
How you doing, Dan, man? I'm all good, brother. Happy for game day, man. Here we go. Let's get rolling today.
I'm excited. I'm excited for game day. So bring me into it. I want you to bring me back on the field when you were on the field at the Pinstripe Bowl.
Which time? We went 2-0, so I had a chance to win both.
So let's start with 2010, and we'll make our way to 2012. Because you played in the two prior that Syracuse had, 2010 and 2012. And now a decade later, the Orange are playing in the Pinstripe Bowl again. You had it as the new era Pinstripe Bowl. It is now the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. So let's go back to 2010 and let's paint that picture.
All right, painting that picture. So, man, for me, obviously you asking about my experience. Yeah. I was a pup, so it was a chance to watch Antwon and Delone really put their foot in the ground and really have a chance to break that game wide open. And then, we threw some shots to Marcus, and Marcus made some big plays. So it was a good feeling, and obviously a good time in New York City. And it was the inaugural bowl, so it was the first one. So everything we went through, it was top notch. It was a great experience.
Yeah, and like you said, being a pup back then in 2010 when Syracuse played in the Pinstripe Bowl against Kansas State, the first ever Pinstripe Bowl in the history of their bowl game, their inaugural season, and it happening on December 30th, 2010, up against Kansas State. Going back into that game, like you said, being a pup and watching, Delone Carter had multiple touchdowns in that game. Marcus Sales had 3 touchdowns in the game. Onslaught, offensively, but a very close game, 36-34. Syracuse pulls it out over Kansas State. Being on the sideline and watching those guys go to work, what did you learn from Antwon Bailey and Delone Carter?
Oh, man, those two dudes were top-notch to work behind. They always brought their hard hat. You never heard complaining in the running back room. I thought that was why when it was our chance and when it was me and Tyson's chance to be the older guys in the room, we held what they told us and what they taught us dearly. I really think just the competitive nature they had in that room. And it was never anything ill about it. It was never anything like you didn't want the other guy to shine. They always supported each other. So seeing that as young guys, seeing both of those guys get NFL opportunities, it was like, oh, you can do this thing together and still get the opportunities that you want.
Yeah, Delone in that game, 198 yards on 27 carries, 7.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns rushing. Antwon Bailey, 7 carries for 50 yards, 7.1 yards per carry. I want to go back to Delone.
And I think people miss out on like probably one of the biggest parts of that game was Antwon's block on the blitz. Like he had a guy flipped over, and I think Nassib threw a touchdown off of that. It may have been after like the flea flicker. It may have been off of the flea flicker. Like Twan had a huge block, which was like a touchdown for Sales. So that was huge for us.
And you're a part of a really interesting part of history, and we're going to get to Antwon in a second, but I want to speak with you on some history of Delone Carter. So Delone Carter, 2009, 2010, back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Hasn't happened at Syracuse until Sean Tucker just did it in 2021-22. In the middle of that, you were a 1,000-yard back at Syracuse, and it had been almost a decade between you and Sean Tucker. So Sean has a connection to Delone and being a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher at Syracuse. Yeah. He also passed Delone to be third all-time in career rushing yards. But amidst Delone and Sean, you were the other 1,000-yard back. So you, Sean, and Delone all have this very kind of cool connection and intertwining of running back history. What does that mean to you?
Oh man, that's a heck of a group right there. Sean Walk, I mean, for me, it was wanting to be a part of that 1,000-yard rushing crew. Like you said, prior to me, it was Antwon who the year before, then the year before Delone had did it twice. So it's kind of the standard. So, just being able to see Sean, knock that standard down and, be the next guy to push this thing forward. So now when you're recruiting a running back and the conversation is, hey, we want 1,000-yard backs. We want guys who can compete at a high level. And it helps with recruiting when you're trying to get that high top-notch back that we need. And it helps, it helps keep a guy hungry because you're chasing history.
And when you look at, the situation, I mean, I said on my show, listen, everybody's going to have their own decision, and I support a man or woman's decision to figure out what's best for them, in their professional life as they move forward. I said, if I was a player, I would play in the game. And, guys like you and guys like Prince and guys like Delone and guys like Antwon in the backfield played in these games, no matter what your season was. Sean opted not to play in the game, but to be there with his team. And I said, listen, I respect Sean. I love Sean. I appreciate Sean. That's his deal and that's his thing. If I was in his shoes, I would play. So I'd love to get your thoughts on it, because when I go back to 2012, all y'all dogs wanted to be out there on the field. So bring me into it. Your thoughts on the opt-out.
Man, and I totally understand nowadays, man. It's just a different business. It's a total different business, and more than it used to be talked about, the life expectancy of a running back. I'm not sure if the fella from Minnesota is going to play this week, but that would have been a heck of a deal to see both of those two battle against each other, because those are two top-notch backs. I'm a big fan of both of them. I like the way they handle business. They do a good job of just leading their team, being a bell cow. I'm a big fan of both of them. So that would have been huge to watch both of them. Obviously, you know me, man. If we in New York, man, it's a football, it's white lines. I'm playing, baby.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part, because you want to see Sean, you want Sean to stay healthy, you want to see on the other side Mo, and you want him to stay healthy. But it's like you said, I mean, Minnesota and Syracuse, two of the best backs in the country, seeing them be on this field, and I can't help but think if this was 2012, they would be playing, because it was just, I mean, you guys, it was 12 degrees outside, it was snowing.
Man, you figure we played against Geno Smith and Tavon Austin that year. And that was when Geno Smith was a predicted, first rounder.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you, I mean, as things have kind of moved forward in athletics, in collegiate athletics, how do you feel about the opt-out in bowl games? I mean, do you think it should be there? Should it not be there? I mean, as a former player, how do you handle seeing a team being like, well, these are all the guys that got us here, and half of them are going to play, a third of them are going to play, 80% of them are going to play. I mean, Syracuse is going to be without their two starting corners, their starting running back. There's a bunch of pieces to the puzzle that help to get them here that won't be out there. So how do you look at, the opt-out rule?
Obviously, being in the college coaching world, man, you totally understand it, because again, it's just a different business. It's a different business for these guys. And man, when I say it's a different business, the money is totally different than when it was in the past for these guys. Ways and opportunities to make money for themselves and their family. But then it goes into your competitive nature. I mean, shoot, I'm one of those kind of people, you feel like I could roll my ankle walking down the steps today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those type of things. If it's for you, it's for you. Guys, I mean, I watched the interview with Coach Saban. Coach Saban said probably none of the Alabama players are going to opt out. I mean, it's the competitive dealing. I mean, it's a football game. It's another game.
Yeah. And that's how I look at it. I mean, you look at the numbers too, for both of these guys, you got 1,060 for Sean Tucker on 206 carries, 5.1 yards a carry this season, 11 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
For Mo Ibrahim, he has 304 carries, 1,640 yards, and 1,640 he gained. He lost 46, so overall 1,594 rushing yards, 5.2 yards a carry, and 19 rushing touchdowns. I mean, this would have been a massive battle of two bell cows. So I can't help it. I respect Mo. I respect Sean. Can't say it enough.
Business. I get the business.
Yeah. But it's, you know, as a fan, you're like, man,
that would have been a heck of a day to watch some guys tote the rock, man. I'm telling you.
So you've been watching Sean Tucker. You and I talked about how it was almost a decade between you and the next 1,000-yard back when he did it last year. And you did it in 2012. He did it in 2021. So it was almost 10 years. When he did that, I know we talked about it, but reflecting on it now, what has Sean Tucker's career looked like through your eyes?
Oh, man, he had the story of underdog. He was a fourth string, a guy who, you know, it took some guys to get hurt. It took some guys to transfer and find their way for him to come on top and then get his opportunity. And when you get your opportunity, you don't give it back. So, man, it's a true underdog story. I'm a huge fan of the kid. I wish nothing but the best for him. You know, obviously, I know some guys that played in high school with him over there at Calvert Hall. Man, everyone tells me he's a heck of a kid, man. I'm looking forward to watching him at the next level.
Is he, well, you kind of said it, but how would you describe him to the NFL? If you were his agent, why is he an NFL running back?
Man, he's explosive. He can create space with his feet. He's a game changer. He's a game changer. You can see if you give him a crease, he'll make it happen. He has breakaway runs. He can catch the ball out of backfield. He's an every down back. He reminds me of a Travis Etienne. I love what Travis Etienne's figured out how to play in the Jacksonville offense. So, I mean, he's a good back. These heck of a talents right here.
And Jerome Smith, Syracuse Orange running back alum, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's Pinstripe Preview Special for the Pinstripe Bowl. As Jerome experienced 2010 and 2012, we're now here in 2022 with the Pinstripe Bowl and Syracuse back for an unprecedented third time, and if they are to win today, an unprecedented third win as well. And I have to shout out the fact that you just shouted out my Jacksonville Jaguars unprovoked by me.
Oh yeah, awesome. There you go. It's starting to turn this thing around.
And listen, and I said this year, I said if they go 7-10 this year, I said this before a game was played.
Yeah,
I said give me 7-10, and I consider that a good season of growth and to build on. 7-8 right now at the time we're talking.
There we go.
Full control of their destiny. If they win the next two games, they not only get in the playoffs, they win their division and they host a playoff game, which would be insane for this guy. And I'm ecstatic about that.
Would you go? You going to go to the playoff game?
If they have a playoff game, I will be there. I had a trip set up before all this, so I'm hoping they play like the day before or the week after, whatever it may be. But I will tell you this, Rome. Favorite team of mine, Jacksonville. Second favorite team, Dallas. You and I talk about Dallas all the time.
Yeah.
Dallas and Jacksonville is my Super Bowl. I got to watch them play each other in Jacksonville live, and it was a week before Christmas to the day, December 18th. And all I said going into the game was, I think they'll get in the 30s. Please, may it be close. May it be a game down to the wire. It was a game down to the wire. It was in the 30s. They went to overtime. And that game and being in Jacksonville's locker room and seeing the Jaguars and the Cowboys play each other, I could not ask for a better gift under my tree from God than that. And knowing that even though Jacksonville won the game, Dallas clinched the playoffs. So this is a year where both teams can make it to the playoffs, and I'll be in
you got a good thing going on here.
Yeah, man. So
Syracuse in a bowl game, you got your two teams ready to roll. It's a good time.
It's a very good time. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see it. Why do you think Sean Tucker and Travis Etienne have similarities?
Man, I just told you, like the explosiveness. Okay. Those guys can create space with their feet and make plays for themselves. Even when the blocking's not the best, those guys can make plays for themselves. Like I said, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, those guys are going to be good for the next few years. And you can see just Travis is just starting to come into itself this year. Had some injuries and stuff like that, but I think he's going to be good for the next few years.
When you achieved greatness, getting to 1,000 yards and celebrating everything at Syracuse, toward the end of the season, when they honored you and said, okay, he's going to be speaking at the podium, certain players will talk one-on-one, other players are going to go to the podium. When they sent you to the podium, Rome, I never forgot you did this. I know we've talked about this before, but I've never seen anybody else do this, and I commend you for it. When the media wanted to talk to you about your success, all of your offensive linemen got up on the podium. You invited them. From what I remember, they stood behind you. You stood in front of them, and they looked like your bodyguards, your Secret Service. And you stood there and said, these guys are up here with me because nothing that I did happens without them. Yeah. I want to go back to that moment and why you chose to do what you did, because I will never forget the fact that you brought your linemen up when everybody wanted to say, hey, Jerome, you're amazing. You said, no, these guys are amazing and they make me look good.
I think one thing that year, man, we had just committed to being a better group with each other. So I know that year we always went to dinner on Thursday nights together. So we went to different restaurants in the city, and sometimes I would pay, sometimes they pay for themselves, but we figured out a way to become a group and become a family with each other. Man, and like I said, I was a young guy going into that group, and that group was really good. And you talk about the Mackeys and Justin Pughs and the Shebangs. That was a really good O-line. Trudeau, had Hickey, had Lou Alexander. So it was a really good group coming in. Those guys already had 1,000-yard rushers. So me coming in, I just had to do my part and not mess up, pretty much. And like I said, they took care of me. I don't think Nassib gets talked about enough. Nassib, man, he was a huge part in, keeping this thing together. He grew as a player with us. So it was a really good time, and, a really good time for all of us at that time.
Can we, because I agree with you about Ryan Nassib, can we dispel the rumor that I was talking to a scout, I won't say what team, but I was talking to the scout, and he was there for the game, and he left at halftime, as a lot of the scouts have in the past. And I said to him, I said, who are you here to look at? And we were talking about different things, and he's like, oh yeah, Ryan Nassib, the quarterback, and he's talking about him. I say, he goes, but he can't run. And I went, what games are you watching? I said, right. If this man needs to get yards, he's not one of those doesn't know what to do. If he needs 7 or 8, he's going to give you 8 or 9. And in that game, of course, he left at halftime, and then Ryan Nassib was running and getting first downs and whatnot. But can we dispel the fact that Ryan couldn't run? Because I think one of the things that bothered me the most is Ryan Nassib was one of those gritty quarterbacks that if he had to take off, he would take off, and you might not know him for running, but he was a guy that could get a first down with his feet. And I don't think he got enough respect for the running part of his game.
Man, it was times where it'd be 3rd and short or 4th and short, and we got a zone read on where as a running back you want the ball, but everybody in the stadium know you're getting the ball, and he'll pull it and pull up and grab a first down for it. And that was just a football guy in him, man. If he had to get 9 yards, like you said, you didn't have to worry about him sliding. How about that? You knew Ryan would make the play, and if he had to put his shoulder down, run a guy over, he would do that if he needed to. I mean, the dude was a quarterback, and on Fridays he benched 225, 20 some odd times.
Another guy on your team that I don't think gets enough love, your fullback, Adam Harris.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what running behind him was like for you, and what credit you'd like to give him on the team?
So for me, as a young guy, I got to play with Adam. So my first 2 years I played with Adam. Yeah. I had Clay the next 2 years. But running behind, yeah, I'll give you both. Adam was just, man, he was a scientist. He knew roam, go this way, hit this hole right here. I know where it's going to crease at. Adam was like I said, the scientist, man. He knew the whole playbook. Heck of a dude. You could see that guy outside sometimes. And, this one, offenses didn't use fullbacks.
Yeah.
He was a traditional fullback, at least. He was a guy who could flank out wide, motion in, run some routes, catch the ball out of the backfield. And he did really well with that. Clay, running behind Clay was a different deal because Clay was a walk-on. Clay was a walk-on, so we kind of fought our way up together. Like I always tell people, man, I was a fifth string guy. So, man, a lot of reps I took with Clay, and, we talked about stuff, and he made sure that if I got hit hard, he was the first guy to pick me up. So just running behind those dudes had to be selfless. They rarely got the ball. Later in their careers, I know obviously how well you block, you started to get rewarded for it. So we have flow passes in where we flat send the fullback out to the flat, and they would catch touchdown passes. I think Clay might have had 2 or 3 2012, and Adam had a few during his time, but those dudes were selfless.
And going off of that, here with Jerome Smith, wake up call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal.
Can't forget Tombe either. We had Tombe Kose.
And Tombe Kose. So
yeah.
let's go to him as well as we're here in the Pinstripe preview week. Tell me about Tombe Kose, because he, again, as a lot of these guys that we're talking about, didn't get enough love. So let's spotlight him for a second.
The most physical at the point of attack I've ever seen. He's just the most physical at the point of attack I've ever seen. Fearless. He was fearless, man. If Tombe hit you, you felt it. You would feel it. Absolutely. If he got a chance to hit you square on, you can forget about it.
Now, did you see him take down anybody at practice?
A few guys.
Okay. Can you tell us? Can you tell us who he knocked down?
Nah, I can't give out those stories, but he tattooed a couple people.
All right. So Tombe Kose, as well as Clay Cleveland, Adam Harris, you ran behind those guys.
Yep.
Sean Tucker ran behind Rhino. Chris Elmore, a fullback who played tight end, offensive line, defensive line, and
Swiss Army knife, man. The guy's a Swiss Army knife. He did everything. He played some D-line, played some offense. I think in my time, a Deon Goggins probably could have did some of that stuff. Okay. Deon Goggins might have been the freakiest athlete I've ever been around.
How come?
How come?
Yeah.
Oh, man, Deon was fast, probably a 4'8", 4'7" guy. Change of direction was good, man. Was physical, like I said, at the point of attack. I know when he first got his opportunity in the NFL, the Falcons had him at fullback, so they obviously saw some of that stuff in him. Deon was a dude.
So when you watch Rhino and watch what he did at Syracuse, another guy that came up the ranks, another guy that was willing to do anything in 2020 when they didn't even know if they were going to have enough offensive linemen to play, he's out there playing right guard. So bring me into the mashup of, if you got to run behind Chris Elmore, what you think that would have felt like or looked like, how good of a fullback you think he is.
Oh, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have did as good as Sean. I wouldn't have did as good as Sean, man. Sean's a dude. Sean's toting that rock behind that guy, and they got that good chemistry, man. They got their good feel down. I still would take my guys, but running behind, I think Sean probably had that in me.
Sean, fourth stringer. I always call him the happy accident, because he was ready, but the coaching staff had him fourth on the depth chart. So obviously, no matter what they say, they didn't know what they had.
Absolutely.
In the sense of, your starter, Abdul Adams, opted out. Jarvion Howard, secondary guy, opted out. Jawar Jordan Jr., your third guy, got injured. Sean Tucker comes in. Like you said, you're a fifth string guy. So from a fifth stringer to a fourth stringer, what is it about Syracuse that's sitting at the bottom of these depth charts? There were 2,000-yard backs between you and him.
We know how to recruit good running backs. It's just a lot of good running backs that come to Syracuse. But I mean, for us, it was just, fighting our own battles. Like you said, some guys opted out, some injuries happened, and voila, there you go for Sean. For me, it was one of those deals where me and Tyson were sophomores. Tyson got hurt. I stepped up as the number 2 while Twan was a senior. And when Twan graduated, it was like kind of up in the air. And, one of us had to come down with it. He was still rehabbing and, I took over and then we kind of ran the show together. But like I said, man, it was perfect timing. Everything happens for a reason. I know it probably kept him hungry and I know he probably called home and, was disappointed at first, but, the people at home kept him grounded and made him work for this thing. And there you go.
In the world of the transfer portal, making it so easy to leave, play immediately somewhere else, what do you want to say to Sean Tucker that he didn't do that he stayed with this team, and that he gave them not one, but 2,000-yard seasons, the third highest career rushing yards in the history of Syracuse, behind only 2 players ever for the Orange. And on top of all of that, behind only Joe Morris and Walter Reyes overall. And then on top of all of that, averaging over 5 yards a carry and having the single season career record for rushing yards last season, passing Joe Morris in a single season. He's done all these things at Syracuse. He could have transferred. He could have jumped. He could have gone somewhere else. What do you want to say to Sean about the fact that he stayed Orange?
Oh, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for fighting your fight. This was the battle that was thrust upon you, and, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and you had the crown on, man, and you did what you were supposed to. We're proud of you.
The hay, as you tell us, is never in the barn.
Never.
What are you doing today that you'd like to share with the world? What are you doing to bring the hay into the barn today?
Oh, man, we constantly working. So, man, we got some different programs, some football programs going on right now. Just developing the next football player. We're developing the next guys, play college football, be great young men in the community. And that's what we got going right now.
And tell everybody what your specific day-to-day is for people that want to follow you, because you've gotten into the coaching world and you've done a lot of good things to pay it forward.
Yeah, so man, day to day, we pretty much got trained, like I said, a training program, and we go from 10 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. and we got different sports teams around the area, the tri-state area. If you're in the area, locate me, get with me, and we'll get some training going. Man, we staying busy. We're getting ready for the coaching convention down in Charlotte next week, AFCA, so that'll be a good deal. Catch up with some old Syracuse guys, catch up with some old coaches. I talked to Coach Schaefer. These guys pulled out another bowl game win. I talked to him a few days ago, and I'm happy for him. So, man, just staying busy.
And like you said, you've had the opportunity to speak with Coach Schaefer, Scott Schaefer. What's that bond and that connection been like for you over the years?
Oh, man, forever grateful. Forever grateful for that dude, man. He always told me the truth. First, we used to go against him, and I'm used to going against him and competing against him. But him becoming a head coach, I got an opportunity to learn him and, get him from a different side. Because as a defensive coach, I didn't like him. I didn't like him as a defensive coach because it was just one of those kind of things where we battled so hard against each other, man. It was no way we could be friends.
Yeah.
But, like I said, as this thing grew and our relationship grew and he became the head coach, our relationship, it blossomed. And, man, like I said, he's one of those people you check on. He checks on my daughter. He checks on the family, make sure I'm good. So, man, like I said, looking forward to catching up with him and, seeing him in person and not just seeing him on TV.
What's the best thing about Scott Schaefer to this day?
He a dog. Schaefer dog, man. He gonna meet you right where you at, man. Whatever you need, he gonna meet you right where you at. You're in a place where you need a father figure. He gonna be that father figure. If you need somebody to get you motivated as a player, and if you're not doing enough, he gonna be that guy to get you motivated and get you doing enough.
That coming here from Jerome Smith, Syracuse Orange football history at running back, Morgan State, being an assistant football coach there. Just what you could tell me about what that experience has done for your life.
Oh man, I think it happened at the right time where HBCUs were on the trending. We know where they were trending up. I got a chance to really put my foot in, boots on soil and really coaching that in those conferences, and helping develop guys to play at the next level. We got a couple guys that should be up for the NFL draft this year. So it'll be a good deal for us, having those guys come out.
And having going back to before Schaefer to look at the coaching, one of the guys that I love him, I appreciate him. I talk with him off the air more than on the air, and love our bond, love our connection. He always amps me up. And even when he's talking to me on the phone, I could feel him grab my arms and be like, "Hey, Danny." So Nate Hackett, what has Nate Hackett meant to you? And what should the world know about Nate Hackett? Because I don't know how you feel, but I'm getting pretty sick and tired of people speaking for Nate Hackett.
Yeah. Coach Hackett, another man, genius, football genius. I know I talked about Adam being a scientist, but shoot, man, Coach Hackett was a genius. Having an opportunity to work with him, I learned so much football. I think I forget some football, and sometimes I go back to my notes like, oh man, Hackett taught us that, and this is how he taught it. Energetic, obviously, as people seen in different roles, man. Energetic guy is going to get everybody on the same page. Obviously, not this time. Obviously, it didn't work out there. It's not to say it won't work out somewhere else. Yeah. He'll figure it out, though.
And coming here from Jerome Smith. Jerome, before I let you go, you mentioned your daughter. And you mentioned Shave checking up on her. Share with everybody who doesn't know. I want to shout her out. I want to shout out her name. And how old is she right now?
All right. Roman Rain Smith.
And she's how old?
She's 5. Well, she's turning 5 January 30th.
So Roman Rains Smith. Yep. Significance of making sure that she had that name. And did you pick it?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the significance for you? Why did you choose that name?
It's not because of the wrestler either. So Roman, we were going Roman either way. And then both of my great grandmom and her great grandmom's middle names were Lorraine. So Rain was spelled 2 different ways. So we went with the Rains in the middle.
And you being a dad, she's gonna be 5. What is your to me, who doesn't have a human child? I got my pup. I want you to give me the best dad advice.
It's like coaching. You got to teach them right the first time. One thing you always get told in coaching, you're either coaching or allowing it. So I always treat like parenting like coaching. The first time I teach you something, I got to teach you the right way. I got to show you the right way how to do it. If not, it's my fault. If you do it any other way wrong, it's me.
What have you learned about yourself now that you're a dad?
I'm more patient than I thought. I'm more patient than I thought, man. Sometimes, you not having the best day, or you trying to figure some stuff out. And obviously, we in this business where you got to produce. When things ain't going well, you still got to come home and leave that stuff at the door, come home, be, dad.
Jerome Smith here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios Pinstripe Preview Week, as we are here on the day of the 3rd time that Syracuse will be in the Pinstripe Bowl. Let's go back to a decade ago before I let you go. 2012 to 2022, 10-year anniversary of Syracuse being in the Pinstripe Bowl. The last time is ironically the next time Syracuse is in it. You and Prince did okay in that game, I think is fair to say. You had 29 carries, 152 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. Prince-Tyson Gulley, 26 carries, 213 yards, 8.2 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. Between the two of you, carried the ball 55 times for 365 rushing yards, enough rushing yards for days in the year. Almost 400 yards between the two of you against rival West Virginia. Bring me into that game that I remember, 12 degrees, snowing. I put my hand out from, it's the only time I've ever been in a press box that doesn't have glass. So I was like, why am I so cold? I put my hand out, I reached out to it, felt the coldness, saw the snow, and you guys took it to West Virginia in such a way that I said after that game, Geno Smith will make a very good wide receiver in the NFL.
There you go. Look,
so bring me into that game.
He's making you eat your words, ain't he?
He is.
Making you eat your words. Nah, man, and like you said, man, I can remember from when we woke up. When we woke up that morning, I remember Ashton was my roommate, and we're getting ready for breakfast, and kind of all of us looked at each other, and it was like a head nod. Like, you see the weather outside? It looks like it's going to snow. And obviously, when you get some precipitation, you're gonna have to put the ball on the ground and let us tote it a little bit more. So you knew, you obviously knew it was coming. West Virginia had moved Tavon to running back because they had to put the ball in his hands. So it was one of those deals where we knew it was on us. We knew it was on us in the O-line, and we obviously took the challenge. And I'm one of those kind of people, and our running back room was one of those kind of rooms where the hot hand gonna roll. So once we saw Tyson starting to get hot, and the game was pretty taken care of, man, let him keep going. Let him keep going. Have an opportunity to break another guy from Akron's record. And obviously he broke Delone's record, who had held the the single game rushing record previous for the Pinstripe Bowl. So having him break Delone's record was huge for us, and in our running back room, again, because of the competitive nature. We wanted to be 1 and 2. We wanted our 1 and 2 to be better than Antwon and Delone. That was something that we always held to us, and obviously him having a chance to break the record and us putting up 300 plus yards was something that we held our hats on.
Defensively, the team got after and made fits for Geno Smith in the offense. Yeah. Syracuse's defense: Cam Lynch, Brandon Sharp, Sariki Diabate, Darrell Eskridge, Marcus Pierce Brewster, Brandon Reddish, Shamarko Thomas, Jeremy Wilkes. I feel like I'm naming off people that have been, this is a list of guys that have been on the show: Richie DeGier, Wayne Morgan, Rashard Anderson, Dyshawn Davis, Deon Goggins, Keon Lynn, Micah Robinson, Marquise Spruill, and so on and so forth. I mean, honestly, I think every single one of those players has been on the show. So this team, I look back at the 2012 roster and I think of like 85 scholarships. If not all of you, like 80 of you have been here on Wake Up Call. One of my favorite teams in history, one of my favorite moments in history. And I can tell you guys proudly that I would not rather freeze my butt off for anybody else than you guys. Yeah. So
it was a heck of a time.
I want you to bring me back into all of it about the game. We talked about running the ball with Prince-Tyson, but just the whole feel of the game, because currently, I don't know if you know this, but in the rivalry with West Virginia, historically, Syracuse is 4-0 in their last 4 games against West Virginia, including your 2012 Pinstripe Bowl. So your thoughts on beating a rival, keeping the streak alive to this day, being there in the snow, being there at Yankee Stadium. I want you to just tell me about the whole experience there, because you played. Obviously, you were out there in 2012 and 2010. You were, like you said, a young pup. So
So and like you said, Kansas State wasn't like going against a rival. Yeah. This time we had the rival, and the rivalry started way before the game. Obviously, we had different dinners and different situations where we came in contact with them. I can remember one specific time where we were dressed in suits at an event, and I think they were dressed in sweatsuits. And right from there, you could just tell it was some tension in the air, and it was going to be a dog fight for real. Again, waking up and I mean going through the week, I know New York City had it was a shutdown. So like the snowstorm came and it wasn't much to do but be locked in truly to the game, honestly, because we weren't able to go a lot of places. A lot of places were closed down. Yeah. So as you get closer to game day, I can just remember the warm-ups. All some of the DBs and some of West Virginia's offensive guys got into it. And that just started the game, and you could just remember it was just we were locked in. The weather didn't bother us. When we made a mistake, on offense or we didn't capitalize. I remember maybe we didn't score on a goal line, on a 4th and goal line. I think defense came back and got us a safety the next play. So it was just a battle. It was a really good battle between two good teams. I think we were probably the underdog because Gino and those guys were rolling at the time. So it was truly for us a chip, getting that, that chip off our shoulder. It was their first year leaving the conference. So we had that, riding on it. And then, like you said, a big rivalry to it.
And winning that game, because I know in the Camping World Bowl, which is now the Cheez-It Bowl down in Orlando, the last bowl game Syracuse went to, and only other one under Dino Baber's time at Syracuse, 2018. That game, when we were in the 4th quarter and there's a bunch of minutes left, the media relations people came up to us in the press box and said, if you're looking to talk with West Virginia, you should probably go down in a few minutes because their buses are getting, they're literally heating up the buses, getting ready to leave. So they talked a lot of trash going in.
Yeah.
But the moment that the game ended, they didn't want to do it. They were like, if you're going to do interviews with them, you basically have to, you can't watch the rest of the game. You got to run down there. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've never known Syracuse to run out of the building, win or lose. So the fact that West Virginia talked a lot of trash and then they couldn't wait to retreat out of the building and not even have to talk to any media after.
Dan, all I'm going to tell you, buddy, is everybody can't wear orange. Everybody can't wear orange. And, man, like you saying, they 0-4 against us in the last 4 times we played against them. I would do the same, man. Just get out the building, go on home.
That coming from Jerome Smith with his token smile afterward.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to say to Prince-Tyson Gulley? The final 2 points. First one about Prince. The both of you, like you said, you wanted to be better than Antwon Bailey and Delone Carter in the backfield. Your 1-2 punch with Prince-Tyson Gulley. To this day, how close is your friendship? And what do you want to say to him? If he was sitting here with us right now, what would you want to tell him?
Oh, man, we talked last night. We talked last night about Syracuse, Minnesota. I just had the same thing we pretty much talked about. It would have been really cool to see if both of those backs would have been able to compete against each other. Because he's a Midwest guy, so he kept his eye on the Minnesota cat. And I know the Minnesota guy is actually a DMV guy, so I know that him and Sean had to cross paths at one point or another in their life, whether track or football. Sometime they cross paths. It would have been really cool to catch those guys playing. But if Tyson was there, he knows, man, I appreciate everything you did for me. It was his it was his hungerness that kept me motivated and it kept me with a true understanding of what I had to do to start here at Syracuse. And I mean, that's a prestigious thing, man. It's not just anybody can start running back at Syracuse University. So just thankful for him because he, like I say, kept me motivated, kept me hungry.
Adonis Ameen-Moore wore 34 before Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
I have said this since Adonis was at Syracuse. I've continued to say it since then. He knows I've said it to him. And now I have guys coming on the show saying it before I can even get it out of my mouth. And I think Kroom said it before I could even say it. Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on this. When you finished up and Prince was still there, I thought the 1-2 punch would become Adonis and Prince. Did Syracuse not use Adonis Ameen-Moore enough? I know how I feel. I know how some of your teammates feel.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts because Adonis to me was a guy that he was like an untapped resource. It was like looking for oil and oil was right underneath Syracuse's nose and they just didn't hit it. They didn't hit it. I don't know why.
I think, man, I think at that time, man, things started to change just offensively on where we were headed. At where it was George and Devontae, rest in peace. But it was those guys who were starting to trend, and those guys were getting the feel. And like you said, with Tyson there and George and Devontae developing at a pace where they thought, they were going to be in front of Adonis, obviously. But man, Adonis had game. Adonis had game, man. Adonis, that was a tough room. Man, like I say, You miss out on Ashton. And then you also had to add, like, you started giving carries to Brizzly Esteem in the motion world and the jet sweep world. Terrell was a running quarterback. So, these guys all couldn't fit in together. It was just a deep backfield. I would have loved to see AD if, I know, he wasn't part of the transfer portal world, but I would have loved to see AD playing another offense, once that running back group got too deep.
Yeah, it would have been good to see. I think it was, like I said, an unfortunate thing.
AD had game, Dan.
I know.
He had some game, man.
I know.
He was a big fella that could change the pace, and his footwork was smooth, big smooth cat.
And I told them all the time. I was like, I believe that I said your name more than anybody else in the history of the media because I saw it. I saw it, and I'm sitting here.
Backs, man.
Yeah, I was like, Rome's my guy, Prince is my guy. Love George, love Devontae, but there's got to be a spot for AD. There had to be a spot for him somewhere. Not to take those guys off, but just there's got to be a spot.
I know early on, he was our short yardage guy. He was our short yardage back, and he did a heck of a job there.
Yeah, you bring in that package for him, and he either ran the ball up the middle I called it the wrecking ball package, or he was the decoy, and then they could throw it over top or break it outside. Yep. But it kills me. And I told Adonis, I was like, for as long as I am alive, I will keep saying that they didn't use you enough. So you wore 45, Tuck wore 34. Tuck told me at the end of last season, I don't care if they offer me 44. I'm not wearing it. I don't want to wear it. I think I've done a good enough job with 34. I want to put my number up there in the rafters. Like, I want to be known. So you wore a different number. He wore a different number than 44. What do you want to say from one cat to another in the Syracuse backfield about you making 45 special? Because I still love seeing little kids holding their dad's hand walking and they got a 45 jersey on. Yeah. Tell me about what that means to you and what 34 to see two guys, it'd be the last two guys to get 1,000 yards at Syracuse and to do it with their own number in history.
I think it's a true level of respect to the 44. Because both of us were offered and I think both the response were the same. Let that stay in the rafters. I want to keep building and, keep making my name, a household name here in Syracuse. And I think he's done a heck of a job at, when you walk around campus now and you see the 34 t-shirts, I say, man, that's that kid. That's the kid, the running back kid. That's his shirt. It immediately, lit me up when I had a chance to see different kids in the 45s and the 34s when I had an opportunity to come up for Notre Dame. But it's a good deal. It's a good deal. And I think most importantly, is having an understanding of respecting that. He respected 44 enough to know that's untouchable, man. Jim Brown, Ernie, Floyd, those guys, let that be the one legendary number that we don't have to touch. Let's not touch it.
And just take new numbers and do special things with those new numbers.
Yeah, just do special things with those numbers. Those guys did some stuff that I don't think we won't ever have a chance to be able to accomplish. Obviously Ernie being the first African American to win the Heisman. That's something right there. And then Floyd obviously being the next guy to follow him up and carry the tradition on and be a pro football Hall of Famer. Let it just stay there. Let it just stay where it is. And I know, obviously Rob Conrad finished it off and he's the last guy to do it. Again, another NFL guy, 8-9 year NFL guy. Man, I don't think you get too many more of those. It's not too much, too many more of those type of players left in football.
We are just a couple hours away.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to say to the guys?
Let's go. It's showtime. We're in New York City, New York City. Let's go. Let's go. That's what we do. I can't wait.
I love that that big smile has not changed.
Oh, man, it's a chance to compete again. I can't wait.
Jerome Smith, would be on the field with you if they
Oh,
gave
man.
him if they gave him eligibility. He'd be out there right now.
Oh, New York City, let's go, baby.
Jerome, as always, I appreciate you. Jerome, the legendary, in my book, the legendary number 45, Jerome Smith. More than anything else, a good friend of mine.
You, brother.
I appreciate you more than I could tell you, man. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Love you too, Dan. I'll catch you. I'll catch you up in New York City.
All right, brother.
All right,
Talk to you
brother.
soon.
Yep.